Hi, I'm Carl Azus, and Fridays are stuck. Doesn't have the same ring as our usual awesome line this time of the week, but when it comes to the international supply of the goods we buy, stuck is a pretty darn accurate word. Holdups with the flow of goods might be the biggest problem facing the world's biggest economies, according to a CNN business reporter. This was all triggered more than a year and a half ago by the COVID pandemic, and what's remarkable is how in some parts of the world, supply chain conditions have gotten worse over the past 2 months alone. We've talked about the backup of the giant container ships waiting to unload in California. The problem here isn't a total clog like you might see in a sink, but more like a slow drain. Before the COVID pandemic, these ships would sail right into one of the 2 major ports here to unload their cargo containers. Now, they're waiting an average of 10 days after they reach the area before they can get a berth in a port. America's labor shortage is a factor. News media have widely reported on the lack of truck drivers needed to haul these containers away and the lack of warehouse workers needed to unload the trucks. But you're about to hear from the truckers who are working, who point to their inability to quickly drive into port, pick up a container, and haul it out. So more skilled longshoremen are needed at the ports themselves. COVID-related closures and restrictions play a part in all this, as different countries have different rules for who can work where, and demand for goods is incredibly high. In the coronavirus era, Americans have been spending less money on services and more on stuff. So delays in getting this stuff into port, onto trucks, out in warehouses, and in the mail means the companies that sell these goods are running out and have to wait on what they stock. Kyung La takes us on a tour of how these problems stretch from across the Pacific to a taqueria in California.
So we got a second crew passengers.
Infinite fails, double eight underscores, red pines.
To understand the problem on the ground,
542 is ready for takeoff.
you first need to see it from the air.
We're flying right over the anchorages just south of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach.
This is where the global supply chain meets the U.S. economy, says Coast Guard Commander Stephen Bohr.
It's record-breaking. It's unprecedented. There are more ships than there are parking spots. We are effectively operating a cell phone waiting lot in the Pacific Ocean.
This bottleneck of container ships, as far as the eye can see, carries more than half the made-in-Asia items purchased by the American consumer.
You're looking at all of the electronics. You're looking at all of the home goods. You're looking at all of the things that people are looking forward to buy this coming holiday season. 0
ships usually stay parked here. But on this day, Commander Bohr counts 55 in the ports and more drifting further out in the Pacific. While worst here, the backup is at all West Coast U.S. ports.
What does that indicate to you about what's happening in the supply chain?
I think everybody can see that things are slowing down.
Slowing down and piling up at sea and at the ports of entry. This is what happens when a global economy snaps back after the COVID slump of 2020. American consumers are back buying with force, but the supply chain is struggling to catch up.
We need to have an Amazon state of mind in this industry. And by that I mean Amazon changed everything.
While shoppers click 24 hours a day, factories in Asia are still stopping due to COVID. Then in the U.S., national labor shortages and limited work hours. The Port of Long Beach is just now experimenting with round-the-clock operations.
What this is a wake-up call for all of us in this industry to realize you can't operate with the model of yesterday.
The goal? Cut the wait time for truck drivers, the next link of the supply chain, moving containers out of the port.
Every day, 5-6 hours in the harbor.
You have to wait like 6 hours.
6 hours?
6 or 8.
I was in there for 9 hours.
9 hours Ruben Ponce lost that he could have been moving merchandise.
It means I'm making less money. Yeah, because I can't do as many rounds.
National data shows there is a truck driver shortage, but Ponce says the problem is even more basic than that.
So now the port is backed up, we're backed up, the truckers were backed up, everyone's backed up. And it's just a big problem.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly.
Delayed trucks means delays at warehouses like Canton Food Company in Los Angeles.
I have about 8 containers out in the harbor somewhere, are from China and Vietnam.
Filled with food.
Still just waiting.
That means for this warehouse, empty shelves with no date to fill them. Basic economics are at play. Scarcity drives up prices.
So it's almost doubled in price.
I would say maybe at least 70%.
Once the cheese is ready,
prices for ingredients restaurant owner Ricardo Mosqueda has to pay.
All those different products that you had to substitute, that you had to change, now 30% more, 50% more, 100% more.
This La Taqueria brand location operates in a renovated shipping container.
Churros preparados, por favor.
The supplies Mosqueda needs sit out at sea in the same metal bins. A cruel irony after barely keeping his restaurant open through the pandemic.
We worry as far as, because you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't know what's next.
How long are these ships going to be floating out here?
I really can't say how long they're going to be like this. I think we're all going to wait and see how long this shakes out.
Now, the consensus from the Coast Guard to the economists to the very workers on the supply chain, this could last into next year. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means start your holiday shopping early. The truck driver you heard from, he says he's already doing his holiday shopping because he wants to make sure that his nephews get what they want.
10-second trivia. Which of these Chinese dynasties ruled the most recently during the European Renaissance? Zhou, Han, Yuan, or Ming? It was China's Ming Dynasty that lasted from 1368 until 1644. A stranded whale on a beach. Doesn't sound like our usual lighter side 10 out of 10 report, but this one's got something special. When a 32-foot long humpback whale recently appeared on the coast of Argentina, about 30 people got together and took action. They put slings underneath the whale's body, used an excavator to help lift it, and eventually returned the animal to the sea. It was the second humpback whale rescued near Buenos Aires in 48 hours. What I love is that they didn't sit and blubber about it or wait for some endorsement. They just leaned into their rescue efforts, flexed some pectoral muscle, worked hard for a good caudal, and used a little elbow grease to oil the gears of a stuck mammal. Now that's what I call keeping it whale, y'all. The Buckeye State is the site of today's shout-out. We're giving a big hello to Pickerington High School Central in Pickerington, Ohio. I'm Carl Azus for CNN.